Howdy folks, I'm Brian and here's some Reddit. Alright, our first story is titled, Am I a Jerk for Hiding My Girlfriend's Sentimental Forks? My girlfriend, who I moved in with last year, received some silverware from her aunt when she passed away the other year. It isn't particularly nice or valuable, but she likes it for sentimental reasons. I hate eating with these forks as their tangs are too close together and they really minimize the amount of food I can eat in one forkful. I began hiding the forks in my work van, one every 3 or 4 weeks until they were all hidden. I claimed ignorance, and that seemed to be going pretty well. Anyways, a couple months passed, with me enjoying having properly sized eating implements when I gave her a lift in my van to work on Monday, and she opened the glove box and found all of the forks. She is quite upset due to the emotional nature of the forks, and also that I would be dishonest about something so small. The forks are back in their regular rotation now, and I can feel the resentment growing and growing whenever I fetch a properly sized fork to eat my dinner with, when she knowingly has set out a tiny fork for me to eat my dinner with. So Reddit, am I a jerk for hiding my girlfriend's tiny forks? Well, OP, I don't know what other things you could have possibly done here. It seems like it was just no-win situation. Clearly hiding the forks was the only option you had. If you had talked to her about this or used properly sized forks or forks that you were comfortable with, then the world and universe may have imploded. And for not doing that, we all thank you. So, OP, why didn't you just talk to her about this instead of hiding all of her forks? This is just such a silly story in that respect. Use your words. If you have a problem with something, tell her you have a problem with it. Tell her that while you appreciate the sentiment behind the forks, they aren't forks that you enjoy using and you would prefer to use a bigger fork, and that she can use them, but you would prefer to use a different fork. And I think it's perfectly acceptable for her to use one set of forks and you to use another set of forks, unless you're so caught up with having everything uniform on the table when you eat that it just makes it uncomfortable. But again, yeah, I don't see why you didn't just talk to her and why you two just didn't work this problem out in an adult way and not in a passive-aggressive, hide things behind people's back way. And it was really rude to take something that was sentimental to your girlfriend and hide it. I think that was just absolutely, really low. I think that was kind of sneaky and in poor taste. Anyhow, good luck. I hope you two can work out future problems without resorting to passive-aggressive techniques like hiding things from each other. Right. It's a case of I don't like it, / them, and I'm not man enough or mature enough to have a conversation about it. I am, however, petty, devious, and deceitful enough to steal something sentimental and lie about it. The forks are back in the regular rotation and girlfriend knowingly sets them out, so I'm lazy and incompetent and cannot get up and go get myself a shovel so I can enjoy my meal. You're the jerk, and in case you didn't get it, you're the jerk. Alright, our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for getting my brother's friend banned from our house? I'm an 18-year-old female and I live with my brother, a 19-year-old male, and dad. My brother has a friend, a 19-year-old male, who recently has been coming over semi-often. My brother has trouble making friends, so I can tell he is excited to be finally hanging out with someone so often. I came downstairs not knowing his friend was over a little while ago wearing a tank top with no bra. I wouldn't have dressed like that if I knew he was here. He was staring at my chest, so I just got what I needed and went back upstairs. Soon after, he came up and knocked on my door. I answered, now wearing a shirt and a bra, and he told me that he liked my tank top look better. I asked him what he wanted, and he asked if he could show me my breasts. I said no, and I closed the door and stayed in my room with the door locked until he left. I told my brother after he left what he said, and he just laughed and said that he would tell him to cut it out. I asked him not to bring him over here again, and my brother said I was overreacting. He came back another day. He came up to me and told me that I don't have to avoid him and that he's sorry for making me uncomfortable. But it's just that I have nice breasts. And he wanted to take his shot. He asked if I would ever let him see them, and I said no. I was walking away, and he told me that he can make them feel good. I told my brother to kick him out, and he said no, and that it wasn't a big deal, and he just thinks that I'm cute. I didn't want him to come over again, so I told my dad what he was saying to me, and he banned him from the house. My brother told me just to take the compliment. Now my brother is mad at me for getting his friend banned, because now he will be lonely, and he needed a friend. You know, if he's really this lonely and he needs a friend at the expense of your comfort, then, yeah, that's not a really good sign, and that's not a good brother. He should go over to his friend's house if he wants to hang out with him this much. Your brother's friend, what he did here was extremely inappropriate, and while he could have taken his shot, per se, but he did this in about the most crass way as possible. And it made you feel uncomfortable in your own home, and it made you feel like he was objectifying you, and I can certainly understand why that would make you uncomfortable. Instead of apologizing, and he didn't even give you a real apology, he just said, "Oh, I'm sorry that you look too good," and then, made some more bad comments to you. So I'm really sorry to hear that, but no, I don't think that you're a jerk here, and I think you have every right to feel comfortable in your own house, and your brother shouldn't be, upset that someone who treated you this way is not able to come to the house. In fact, if I were him, I would have wanted to kick him out of the house myself. So yeah, good luck. Not the jerk. This is harassment. It was bad enough the first time, but then he did it again and wouldn't take no for an answer. If he hadn't been banned, it could have been escalated. Yeah. My dad would have probably kicked me out too if he found out if any of my friends did that to my sister and let it slide. Oh, and I let it slide. And apparently it's a compliment. Ah, yes, because having men you don't know creepily follow you to your room to see your boobs is the sincerest form of flattery. Not the jerk. It's highly concerning that the brother sees nothing wrong with this. Maybe OP's dad could talk to him. Alright, our last letter is titled, "Am I a jerk for taking my credit card away from my girlfriend and giving her a cash allowance instead?" For context, I work in the maritime construction, so I'm not home very often. My girlfriend is a new grad who is struggling to find work. Since I'm earning a good living, I decided to get my girlfriend a credit card that she could use when I'm gone, and I'd pay it off if she used it. I figured it would be a good way to build credit. At first it worked great, but I started noticing that she was buying a lot of brand clothing online. It started with some Gymshark stuff, which is an expensive brand, but she would only get 1 to 2 items at a time. Soon enough, it became $300 to $400, and I would get frustrated thinking why she would need so many pair of leggings and shirts. It actually got to the point where she started using up the space in my closet because she had too many clothes. We had some conversations about it, and after that she stopped buying things online for a while. But it all came to a head last month when she ordered a huge Instapot, an air fryer, and some other things including clothes for both her and me. I was kind of stuck in Stika, Alaska, and when I checked the card, they were near maxed out, and I had to dip into my savings to pay it off. By the time I got home, I was mad, and I will admit that I probably should have handled it with a little more tact, but I ended up taking my credit card back and started leaving her with $1,000 to $1,500 cash for the 2 weeks that I'm usually gone. She's been mad about it since I started doing it and calls me a jerk, but I really think that she is for spending all that money without telling me. Edit, there's been some confusion here. I do not give her $1,500 a week on a salary, so it doesn't add up to 3 Gs a month. I leave her with $1,500. Example, she spends $250 in 2 weeks. Next time, she gets $250 to refill her cash amount. Alright, OP. I'm gonna say that you're not the jerk here. Again, if she's spending all of your money and you have to dip into your savings, then I mean, that's a really disconcerting problem here. I think one way of handling this, if you don't want her to have the credit card anymore, is to basically give her like one of those cash Visa cards that you can preload with a certain amount of money, and then when it's exhausted, it's exhausted. That way, it makes it a little easier for her to spend the money, because I know if she's going grocery shopping or anywhere else, it might be a pain to use cash. Cash is sometimes inconvenient, but, you know, in some ways, cash is preferable. Given the climate of the world right now, I know a lot of people are kind of shying away from using cash just because it's kind of at higher risk. If you don't want to basically give her an unlimited cap on the amount of money she can spend, that might be one way of handling this. As for her spending, I think that, I think you're being generous. I really do. I don't know, like, it seems like if you're willing to give her this amount of money each time you leave for 2 weeks, you know, topping her off so that she has $1,500 in total, you know, $1,500 is a lot of money to go through in 2 weeks. So I don't think this is a terribly unreasonable thing. And I think that you're trying to get her to adhere to more of a comfortable budget for you. And I think another way you folks could approach this is by basically setting up either a spreadsheet or some kind of accountability so that she knows how much she can spend. That unfortunately does require actual effort, so you do have to keep track of stuff. I don't think it's necessarily unreasonable for you to set limits on the amount of money she's spending, and she's clearly going beyond that in the last couple of months, which is making you uncomfortable. I really honestly don't think that what you're doing here is unreasonable. Not the jerk, but seriously reconsider this relationship. She has no qualms about spending your money like it's nothing when you work hard. Exactly. She clearly feels entitled to your money. Glaring red flag. Not the jerk, OP. So I do think that this is probably a little more murky than just saying that she doesn't respect his money. Credit cards are dangerous, and they're dangerous for a reason. You can't see that money being spent, and she may not realize how much money she's spending. I think that this is something that may be a red flag and may not be a red flag. I would really have to know more information. It does err on the side of being a red flag. Not the jerk, and I think you could have handled it with more tact, but since none of us were there, we can't really judge that. In terms of the overall idea, though, envelope budgeting is a pretty common method of budgeting for people who struggle with cards. I don't understand why she can't just get her own debit card, though, and you transfer her the money. It's not as though the only option is a credit card or nothing. Yeah, that's another point, is the debit card and a bank account would have been a good idea, too. We thought of the credit card idea because it would build credit fast, and if I constantly paid it off, and I think because she has an online shopping addiction and I don't want to fund the debit card that she could use online. So I think this does reveal a little bit more. I think that if she does want to spend a lot of money online and he's trying to prevent that, I mean, I think he could still, I don't know, like, what's stopping her from going out and getting that cash put into the bank or, you know, into a debit card or any number of things for herself? So, I don't know. I think that this is a little short-sighted. She needs to be able to see and learn how to manage her money and spend her money, too. Alright folks, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider giving me a like. If you didn't, consider giving me a dislike. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow.